Update on real estate for December 2023 here as we end the year. I know there's a lot of suffering and a lot of pain out there and a lot of bad news across real estate with even some big syndicators and maybe even institutions failing here in this cycle. I do believe this will be the greatest real estate correction in my lifetime. But just want to give all our investors at Cardone Capital an update on what has happened so far this year for us. We're now $4.3 billion worth of assets under management. $1.2 billion of cash has been invested with us, trusted with me, from regular everyday people. We have never gotten one check from a large institution, major institution, and I'm really, really proud of that because this is the first time that anyone has allowed the everyday, regular, forgotten retail investor by Wall Street to invest in institutional quality assets like we buy at Cardone Capital. We have 13,646 investors to date, 12,230 apartments. We have distributed $295 million to our investors and included, or in addition to that, $186 million in depreciation has been passed on to everyday people. Typically, those depreciation big write-offs are only allowed to and rewarded by super wealthy people. So we're really proud of that. In December, we had a record distribution month when other syndicators, investor pools, some of the biggest in the country, by the way, have stopped cash distributions and redemptions. We actually had a record month, $7.62 million in distributions. I'm reading some of this right now because I just got the news. We monthly, for the month, our annualized monthly return was 9%. And I know guys out there that stopped distributions back in June of last year or this year. We have distributed year to date in 2023, $59.1 million and did not miss 1 month. In fact, we did 13 distributions this year, not 12. We had a bonus distribution in December as a gift to our investors because our properties did so well. On average, across the portfolio, we did 6.05% year-to-date returns, 94.3% occupied in our multifamily. And while other people are passing their keys back on office, our 2 office buildings, 500,000 square feet, experienced a 94% occupancy. Our graph looks like this right now for distributions, literally starting January with $4.4 million. Every month we stayed between $4.5 and $6 million in distributions, and then at the end of the year spiked to $7 million. I'm happy to include that. In fact, I should show you what I'm looking at right there. That graph right there is a beautiful graph of distributions. And we also, and we'll include, if you want, just text my team 305-407-0276, 305-407-0276, and I can distribute to you every property. We now have 38 properties, 22 funds. Every fund that I've done, 22 different funds, without ever going to a major institution or a super wealthy family fund or a sovereign fund or a pension fund. We have oversubscribed 22 different funds. Lastly, I'll just say this. We're about to enter what I believe to be the greatest real estate correction in my lifetime. Also, I want to just include, there's our rent growth this year, very stable. That top line, the blue line, is gross revenues. A lot of people are having trouble even collecting rent right now, and we're starting to see a dip off. When you buy very, very good locations and you're disciplined with locations like we have been through this cycle, and when everybody was getting super aggressive on their pricing, where they failed, where some of the other groups failed, was they became aggressive on their pricing. We did too, by the way, and I don't regret it. What they didn't stay disciplined on was locations and their projections. A lot of those properties needed a bunch of rent growth in order for them to spend the money and do the value add rehab, big rehab projects. We were buying great locations, great assets that required literally as close to zero in rehab dollars as possible. Okay, last thing. We are about to enter the greatest real estate correction since 2008. And I believe it will dwarf what happened in 2008. This time it will not be individuals losing homes. It's going to be major institutions losing entire portfolios of real estate. If you're interested in taking advantage of this real estate correction, we have created 2 different funds. One where you become an equity partner with me in the fund, and the other is a distressed debt fund. where we're actually going to go be taking over some of these properties. Now, this distressed fund could provide somewhere between a 12 and 15% cash flow annually. So we're introducing two funds for 2024. One is an equity fund where we're going in and buying properties below replacement costs. This is our tried and true formula in great locations that already provide income. Okay, these properties all cash flow from day one. We buy the property, let's say we bought it in January 1, we closed the deal January 1, we would expect to have a cash flow distribution on February 15th and then distribute that to our investors. Literally 1 month, you wait, and then you get cash flow, and we distribute every month to our accredited investors. We also allow non-accredited investors to invest with us in that fund. You can check that out at cardonecapital.com. And you guys are the first ones to hear this. We are in process of getting authorized for a distressed debt fund where investors, only accredited, these will be $1 million investors, $1 million be the minimum, $1 million investments where we go in and take over a portfolio. We become first in line if this thing fails, and we expect that to be a 12 to 15% cash flow annualized to our investors. The downside of that is you don't get the equity upside, but you get tremendous cash flow while we wait for that property to either pay us back or where we walk in and take it over. If you're interested, go to cardonecapital.com, register there. I'll get you on a list. I'll make sure you know. We do a lot of Zoom calls. We do about 1 to 2 a month where we show investors the products we're looking at, the projects we're negotiating on. We give you inside information on what we're doing, who we're doing it with, what kind of assets we're trying to go after. This is going to be a great cycle, folks. Please pay attention to this cycle, whether you do it with me or someone else. Just do your homework. Be willing to wait long periods of time for real estate. It almost always pays off as long as you don't over leverage, as long as you're well capitalized, and as long as you're buying great locations, you're going to be doing extremely well with real estate, getting cash flow, capital appreciation, big tax write-offs. There is no other vehicle on planet Earth in America that offers the kind of tax depreciation and write-offs that real estate does. And we pass that on to our investors. I'm going to build a $50 billion fund here. We're about $4.5 billion right now. We will go to $50 billion and become one of the largest apartment owners in the country. And I look forward to doing that with other people, everyday people. This has never been done before. Rather than going to Wall Street and institutions, basically partnering, interlocking with everyday people that have been overlooked and completely neglected by Wall Street, so that we can actually, as a group of people, regular everyday people that deserve and need to create wealth, rather than the wealthy getting all the great assets in America, it'll be regular everyday people like me, you, us, creating one of the largest real estate portfolios.